Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Geekcast podcast. My name is Greg St. Clair.
Dan Whitehead.
And unfortunately, Patrick could not be with us here today. Dan was too busy spending time with his family, being selfish and shit. And we're doing the show a lot later than normal. And Patrick is babysitting his little brother. So, Patrick, we miss you. Wish you were here.
Said Pink Floyd.
But this is episode 22, excuse
22.
me, of the Geekcast podcast. I said that before we started. I knew.
Yeah, you clarified.
22. All right, episode 22 of the Geekcast podcast. Big conversation for today is the Deadpool movie. Dan, Patrick, and I saw it Thursday night with a couple of friends, and we're really excited to talk about it. But before we get talking about it, we're going to bring in Pick of the Week. If Dan has something for the Pick of the Week, you're tossing around ideas.
I'll say The Doors. Just because I got this album and I'm very excited about it. Okay. So, as he jokingly said, I did go and spend time with some family this weekend down in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where my cousin lives.
Do you want to tell them their address and their social security number too?
No, just the address. Just in Fredericksburg. And went into one of the record shops called the Blue Shark. You should check it out. It's pretty cool.
There you go.
And shameless plug. And I bought the very best of The Doors, and has all their big songs on it. Light My Fire, LA Woman, et cetera, et cetera. And so my pick of the week is just The Doors in general. Do yourself a favor and listen to them. Very, if you haven't already, that is. Very poetic lyrics. Jim Morrison was very into poetry and storytelling, and it wasn't just like fluff lyrics. That was before they did fluff lyrics and just went for the beat. This was more like a combination of both. So it's kind of early kind of psychedelic rock a little bit, or really it was psychedelic rock before like Pink Floyd really took off with that. But and again, more on the lyrics and stuff. So do yourself a favor, check out The Doors. They're all over the place. On CD, vinyl, digital, whatever you can get your hands on. I'm
sure they have all the best ofs on iTunes, and
which I realized driving home that I have like every version of this album of the very. I have it now on vinyl. I have the CD of it. I have it on digital.
Why would you do
Spotify?
That?
Because it was one of those things that I kind of forgot until I was driving home. And with the CD, I don't really buy CDs anymore because the whole idea of I'm either going to get it on Spotify or I get it on vinyl because it's like the vinyl effect, right?
Okay, yeah.
So the CD I just had from when I was into CDs.
Is that a remastered one that you got, or is it OG?
I don't think it's OG. I'm going to say it again. But I mean, it's in plastic. Let's see, 1985. It says that, and that didn't come out in 1985. So I don't think it's original, like from the 60s.
No, the plastic looks relatively new the way it's wrapped.
But I would say it's not totally brand new either. So I would say, I don't know, like middle.
It's probably like a remaster. It's probably maybe it's like a. I don't want to say remastered, but, like a new issue. You know how books have, like, updated issues?
Kind of. Yeah, like a first edition, second edition kind of thing.
Oh, wait, but the book we're reading for film has so many, grammatical errors.
Really?
They're missing words and punctuations, and the spacing is really off, and it's bothering the crap out of me. It's this book we're reading for our film festival class about this guy. I think his name is Jake Gunn or John Gunn or something like that. And he interviews all these people who run film festivals. It's a really, really cool and really insightful book, but there's just so many like weird errors that is just bothering me visually. That I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this as much as I should right now. It's another thing that bothers me about it besides the monotonous and repetition.
Right. That was a weird voice crack. Right. Yeah, well, I'll check that out later. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could segue. Well, do you have a pick of the week?
I do have a pick of the week. I was telling Dan before that said I wish I would have listened to the new Kanye West album. I heard him on SNL, which actually I have a funny story about Kanye West after I can tell you my pick of the week. But my pick of the week was Spanking the Monkey.
No, not what you do in your personal time.
No, I know.
Okay.
Which is the first movie that is one of the first movies that was directed by David O. Russell, who has done American Hustle and Joy and Silver Linings Playbook, which is one of Dan's favorite movies.
'Tis.
And this is the movie that really projected and catapulted his career. And essentially what it's about this kid named Raymond who comes home for the summer and is supposed to have an internship with the Surgeon General in Washington, but instead has to take care of his mother with a broken leg. And through all this, he's dealing with a lot of sexual frustration trying to, quote, spank the monkey, even though his dog keeps interrupting him, which is kind of funny. But all this sexual frustration kind of catches up with him, and he ends up having sex with his mom.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, if you read certain reviews, I think on Wikipedia, it talks about incest. So it's not really that much of a spoiler. And from there on, you're just kind of weirded out the entire time.
But is it like they both like agree to it? Like it's consensual?
Yeah, it's consensual. Like they're watching something before Raymond has to go to this huge interview to get him more money he goes to MIT to get him more money for college. And he's drinking with his mom in bed. And they're like having a fun time, and they're both drunk, and it just happens, and it's really, really weird.
I'm just looking up the cast and stuff.
Really nobody. The only person is Carla Gallo. She's in Undeclared. She's the love interest for Jay Baruchel, who is dating Jason Segel in the show.
Okay.
Other than that, nobody. The main actor who plays Raymond's name is Jeremy Davies. David O. Russell found him in a Subaru commercial. Fun fact.
Oh, nice.
But it's worth a watch to see somebody who's currently making it right now, to see one of their first things to do. So it's really interesting in that sense. But again, super freaking weird.
Well, at least, oh yeah, actress performance based on a Subaru commercial. Mm-hmm. But at least like he's gone up from there. That's
no, exactly. No, definitely, most definitely. It's not the same thing over and over again. I mean, you can definitely tell when it's a David O. Russell movie, but things like Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, they actually have a little more substance to them, and they're better, honestly.
I mean, I haven't seen his earlier stuff. I mean, anything pretty much before, like Three Kings and before.
And yeah, it's Three Kings, Floating with Disaster, and Spanking the Monkey, like the big early three.
You're right, but like his more recent, resurgence from like The Fighter on. You could feel that it's a David O. Russell film, just because.
Fighter's one of my favorites too, by the way.
That is a very good one. But you can just feel like the way he treats his characters, the way he like films it, and like all that stuff. You feel like this is David O. Russell.
Yeah, it has a nice tell to it.
Right. So I don't know if that vibe was there. I mean, it's his first film, so maybe he hasn't found it.
It is kind of there. It is kind of there. Like it's all about the conversation to me, because he writes a lot of his own stuff. So the conversation, I think, it's definitely evolved with the newer stuff, but if you go back to this one, you can kind of see where it originated and also see how far along he's gotten in his writing and directing processes.
Yeah, he doesn't write all of them, but he has written a good, like he wrote Silver Linings Playbook. He wrote...
He's at least written the screenplay, or has at least been a part of the story in every single one of his movies, though. Mm-hmm. IMDb that shit.
That's right.
But so my funny story about Kanye West is we have a friend here at Stevenson. His name is Matthias. And recently, before the New York Fashion Show, Kanye West tweeted out an acronym for his album, and it was TLOP. And he said, anybody who can guess this acronym of my album gets a free pair of Yeezys.
What's a Yeezy?
Yeezy are Kanye West signature shoes, which have a turnover of like 400%. So if you buy them for $300, you can sell them for like $1,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it was a free pair of Yeezys, the shoes, tickets to his fashion show for his clothing line.
Which I heard went awfully.
I'm sure. The clothing's not the best, no offense, Kanye. But also a listening party for his new album. So our friend Matthias tweeted at Kanye the album title, The Life of Pablo. And Kanye West DM Matthias saying, that's right, you get the Yeezys, tickets, and listening party.
Wow.
Which is crazy. It was on his Instagram page. It was nosebleeds for the fashion show, but he said he saw like Jay-Z there. Lamar Odom was there, and he said he looked healthy, which is always good news to hear. Kid Cudi was there. Just an unbelievable experience. He was telling me this. I was super jealous.
What are the chances he's going to get
the life of Pablo? Right? He was telling me this. I was like, man, I got to use Twitter more for this kind of stuff.
I feel like maybe Kanye was looking for an actual, like he just came up with those letters in his head. He had actually no title for it.
Knowing Kanye and how artistic he's trying to be, especially with this new album, he's really done a lockdown of like society and has just been focusing on this new album. And I saw him on SNL last night performing one of his new songs, and to me it reminded me a lot of the 808s and Heartbreaks album with Love Lockdown, which I was kind of excited about. I was like, yeah, sold Kanye. But yeah, I think it might have been true that his album's actually that he wasn't just like fishing for album titles.
Well, I guess we'll never know, right?
Yeah. Kanye West is not as arrogant and as stupid as people really think he is.
You think it's an act?
I think it's I think it's the same with the Kardashians. Like, the Kardashians are not that stupid compared to the show. They may be stupid, but they're not that stupid. It's all part of the performance and trying to get the audience views, and the money is really what it's all about. And the best way for the Kardashians to do that is just be ridiculously awful people in a way. And same with Kanye. People enjoy Kanye's stuff because he's so arrogant. That's why he's always so talked about. That's why he's so popular.
It's his way of like publicizing it.
Yeah, same thing with Miley Cyrus, for instance.
Right, she's just quote unquote weird.
Yeah,
that's how she gets her.
And she's not weird. It's her artistic decision, and it was her way to break out of this Disney Channel lifestyle, which it was a complete extreme, but it's totally working. Totally working.
Right.
So I mean, it's all part of the same mentality that you got to make a name for yourself somehow. And no matter what it is, people are going to judge you for it, but they're successful. And I'm a big fan of Kanye West. I've loved all of his previous albums. Yeezus was okay, a little too experimental for me, but I'm really excited to hear this new one.
Life of Pablo.
Life of Pablo.
But like nobody even calls him Pablo. That's why I'm like totally just confused by it.
And he calls himself Yeezus, so what are you going to do?
But now, was it going to be like the first person that did it? Because what if somebody else said Life of Pablo too?
It must have been the first person.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, Life of Pablo is so random that you'd have to really be stretching your brain. So.
But yeah, that's my fun story of the week. Weird coincidental things. But now we can get into Deadpool.
Yes.
So do you want to do a non-spoiler section first?
Yeah, might as well.
I'm really trying to think if I guess the non-spoiler section would be not including the funny jokes, because in all seriousness, you can pretty much tell the entire storyline from the trailer.
Right.
The only thing that's different is the content of what is said. Everything that happens is pretty much the same. But the jokes are really different. So I guess we don't have to do a spoiler-free section.
No, but basically, I'll just say the plot. So basically, Wade Wilson, who's played by Ryan Reynolds, is a gun for hire, and then he meets this, like, basically prostitute, played by the girl from Gotham who's dating Jim Gordon in the show, and her name escapes me. Miranda something.
Now, he's also having a kid with what's it?
They're having a kid and getting married in real life. But anyway, so he like meets her and like totally falls for her and her for him, and they start dating and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden,
Marina Baccarin.
All of a sudden, he finds out he has cancer in like the liver, heart, brain, lungs, everywhere.
Huge, like big cancer.
Basically, gonna die.
Pretty much gonna die.
And
they actually do a good job of showing that too.
Yeah, and so he's kind of like checked out, like, don't bother, trying to save me. It's too late, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, we're going to fight this. No, we're going to fight this. So he leaves her for what he thinks is her own good, and then gets asked by this guy who he calls Agent Smith if he wants to be a part of like this experimental like treatment. Basically, you'll cure your cancer and you help us kind of thing.
And turns him into a superhero.
Right. Goes horribly wrong. Goes through this whole process, gets the crap beat out of him, all that stuff. His cancer, though, is cured because he has the ability to heal now, like Wolverine.
Except in a grossly funny way.
Yeah, and yeah, of course, it affects him.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, in a bad way. But because he looks the way he does,
really ugly.
Right.
Super ugly.
He goes on a revenge tale.
Like Freddy Krueger fucked a topographical map of Utah.
That's right. He goes on
That's my favorite one.
He goes on a revenge spree. Thank you. Going after the guy who calls himself Ajax, like the soap. And And
I saw a picture on the internet that says he named himself after soap, and it's the soap product Ajax, but it has duct tape over it and it says Francis.
That's funny. Yeah, because his real name was Francis. That he pulled his ID off of like his jacket or something. But so yeah, the whole movie now, like after that, I mean, it's only an hour and 45 minutes, and it moves quick.
It does move really quick.
And it works, but it works for him. We'll get to that in 1 second. But yeah, so he goes on this revenge thing, and then of course his ex-girlfriend
Gets involved.
Like she gets captured, and so then it becomes like a damsel in distress, even though she kind of can take care of herself in many ways. But he goes after her and like makes the suit, and because he wants to, the Ajax thinks he's dead, so that's why he makes the suit to continue that he's dead or whatever. And yeah, so deep down, you see it more as like a love story / revenge story than an actual superhero movie.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's definitely more of a love story than anything. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my problems with the movie. Now we're getting into the spoiler section of Deadpool, guys. Spoiler
which, by the way, it
alert.
was good.
It was good. Yeah, we liked it. Go see it. Anyway, spoiler section. One of my biggest problems with the movie is the way it ended, which is after all this time trying to save the girl that he left.
What was her name? Do you remember?
No, I don't. Look it up. Sorry, we're ill-prepared. But after he spent all this time trying to figure out, they end up back together, which is great. It's super happy. But there was a moment in the movie.
Vanessa.
Yeah, I should have knew that. There was a moment in the movie where Deadpool says something along the lines of, This is four of my 5 worst moments in my life. And this is right before he's about to go save Vanessa. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, the entire time I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, that means she's not going to be with him at the end. She is with him at the end, which is great. It's super happy. But I think there was a missed opportunity of character development that either Vanessa didn't take him back or Deadpool was like, I have some of my own stuff to work out. I don't think we can be together. Mm-hmm. And because, I mean, so at the end, after the credits, they talked about the sequel happening and also the Cable's going to be involved,
right?
Which is very exciting. But I almost want to know what's going to happen because they're so focused on this love story. But now it's probably not going to be a love story for the next one because I don't think Vanessa. It's not going to be like a Daphne thing with Scooby-Doo where every single movie she's going to get captured. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they kind of missed something.
Right. As far as like the jokes and rated R, it had to be rated R. Mm-hmm. Because I don't.
It was brilliantly rated R.
Right.
Perfectly rated R.
Yeah, they like walked that line nicely. Uh-huh. Not to say, it could have passed for PG-13.
Absolutely not.
But
100% not.
It was like almost, at least for me, almost like a classy rated R.
Yeah, which is really hard to say because there's some really weird stuff that goes on and really inappropriate and raunchy things that goes on. Like Dan's mom saw it and thought it was super inappropriate.
No. That's bad. Dirty Grandpa.
That was
not
Dirty
Deadpool.
Grandpa. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is also super inappropriate.
That's way more inappropriate, yeah.
I think that movie is way more inappropriate because it's a Robert De Niro and Zac Efron movie.
And it has like nudity and stuff. This one, it did have nudity.
There was some pretty nice boobies.
Right, that's
pretty
true.
Nice boobies.
And for the girls, there's a shadowy image of a couple times of almost Ryan Reynolds' dick. So.
Well, I mean, there's also a scene where he's completely naked after he gets oxidized, and you can't really see his penis, but you can at least see it bulge.
Right.
So that's always nice for you guys.
You're welcome.
Ryan Reynolds is always thinking of the ladies.
That's right.
But what were we talking about? Oh, the inappropriateness. This one was perfectly inappropriate because it's Ryan Reynolds, who is known for his Van Wilder movies and all these ridiculous antics that he always does. Mm-hmm. So I think that way, and that's why it's not. It can be considered not as raunchy because it's with already a raunchy actor compared to De Niro, who I wouldn't call his movies totally raunchy.
Different kind of raunchy.
Zac Efron, maybe Neighbors is pretty much the only raunchy one. But even that is nowhere near compared to Dirty Grandpa.
I just always think for De Niro like a Goodfellas. I mean,
yeah,
they were that, but that was like a classy raunchy too.
Yeah, classical.
Right.
But no, all the jokes were so funny. We mentioned earlier about him regenerating body parts. So there's a sequence of the movie where Deadpool is trying to punch Colossus. And what's the other X-Men character's name that's like so badass?
Nostalgic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah.
Or Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic, nostalgic.
Yeah.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And Deadpool's like, what? That is amazing.
Yeah.
But so he's trying to punch Colossus, and Colossus is made of metal. So Deadpool's breaking his right hand and then punches him in the nuts with his left hand. It's like, oh, your poor wife. And then tries to kick him and breaks his foot. And obviously he's down now, so Colossus will handcuff him. And then Deadpool has a great idea to cut off his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So his hand's cut off, and it's starting to regenerate as soon as he gets home to his housekeeper, this blind woman. And
Big Al.
And the hand is like a tiny baby hand, and he like starts to play with her chin a little bit. And it's just like gross tiny baby hand on this massive wrist. It's just
Yeah, I was like falling asleep to it that night, just cracking up at it. It's so funny because he goes to reach it and he's like tickling her chin with
like
it.
this tiny baby hand.
And then he's like, "Get out of here! I'm gonna use it right now." And it's like, and my dick's gonna feel so big, and like, it's like go. But he would carry around like this unicorn with him when he does it.
Oh, there's a cutaway. Ryan Reynolds saying like, all right, now back to where we were at. And then it cuts to him like jerking off with this unicorn in his face. He's like, "Whoops, not that far." And then they go back to. And then they go
Yeah,
back.
it's kind of told a little out of order at first, and then once it like catches up, and then it goes pretty much straight on till the end.
Yeah, and I didn't know how I felt about that in the beginning, which actually probably should have talked this in the non-spoiler section. Actually, maybe not, because you don't know how the sequence of the movies. But it starts off with that the fan trailer of Deadpool in the car that you've seen in the commercials,
The test footage,
and the shit. Did I leave the stove on? So it starts with that, and then it cuts back to Wade Wilson meeting Vanessa for the first time, and they're so perfectly inappropriate together. It's actually kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
they're so great for each other. There's when Wade proposes to Vanessa, they have a conversation like, there's something I've been really wanting to say recently. And Vanessa's like, all right, great. And at the same time they talk, and Wade says, "Will you marry me?" and also proposes a ring pop. But Vanessa says, "Put it back there," which is also hilarious.
Like, "Will you put it back there?" or something.
And so he has the ring pop, and Vanessa's like, "Where'd you put that?" And Wade goes, "Oh, I just had it behind my back." And then it cuts to the back of Wade Wilson, who's just wearing like this long sleeve, ugly sweater, Christmas sweater, and no pants. So pretty much it was in his hat, in his ass the entire time.
Well, yeah, he goes, he's like, "Yeah, will you marry me?" And then she's like, "Where was that?" He goes, "Nowhere." And then that's when it cuts wider. And,
nice Ryan Reynolds butt. You see his butt.
But yeah, that was very funny. And then she's like, I think she like licked it at one point. She
probably did.
And then like, yeah, they lay down, they take a picture, whatever. Which of course the picture plays into it later on, because they find it in the bar and stuff like that. But
T.J. Miller's character, hilarious.
Weasel,
so funny. T.J. Miller's just a funny guy. Anything you put him in, he's just gonna be hilarious.
hence why he was in there.
The only another problem I have with the movie is how he became Deadpool, which I haven't read the comics, so I don't know if this is true or not, of how he actually gets the name.
Oh, right.
But at this bar that Wade Wilson, before he actually becomes Deadpool, frequently goes to, that Weasel works at, T.J. Miller's character, they have this thing called a Deadpool, which is for all these gun for hire types, who's going to die. And Weasel bets all of his money that Wade's going to die. And when they're talking about names of what Wade should call himself as the super whatever, not hero, he's not a hero, anti-hero really, obviously. But they talk, TJ Miller's like, "Oh, now I guess I lost the Deadpool." And Wade's like, "That's it, Deadpool. Captain Deadpool." Nah, drop the captain, just Deadpool.
Right. Yeah, I think that was just like a fun, quick way to do that. Whether it was actually the comics correct way or whatever.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it fun. I would just call it present. That's probably the best way I would describe it.
Oh, I know. I think his whole backstory has a lot more to do with Wolverine, and I think that they changed it for the movie to just have like a touch of Wolverine, but like not totally involve him, especially because Origins didn't go so well.
Right.
So they of course slightly made fun of that. Not slightly, they did make fun of that, and Green Lantern. But you had to like look for it or listen for it.
You saw the Green Lantern reference in the trailer where you're saying, "Don't make my suit animated or green." But the Wolverine origin story, in the beginning, when it's between Wade and Vanessa's relationship, when Wade's not Deadpool, there's a close up on a Deadpool Wade Wilson action figure from Wolverine Origins. So while his mouth's really taped and his eyes are bloodshot, he's like swords coming out of his hands, and he goes, "This is my prized possession," and then it cuts to like a Wham album,
Right.
which also made it more hilarious. There's that. There's so many references. The entire thing breaks the fourth wall because that's just what Deadpool does. Is he talks to the audience. So he would always say things that you probably shouldn't say in a movie that are so blatantly obvious. For one, which was one of Dan's favorite parts, if you want to go ahead and describe that, about the two X-Men characters.
Oh, he goes over to the Xavier Mansion. You see it a few times, and he goes, "Colossus and nostalgic or Negasonic Teenage Warhead, I need your help," or whatever. And it's like weird. It's funny that there's only the two of you in this big house. It's like the studio couldn't afford any more X-Men, couldn't afford to pay any more X-Men. And he like kind of walks away, but he's looking right at the camera, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it happens on the bridge too. He says something like into the camera, and Colossus is like, "Who are you talking to?" He's like, "I'm not talking to you, Colossus." And he's like, "I'm talking to them."
And there was when Colossus is dragging Deadpool away in the handcuffs. Colossus is like, we're going to go see the professor, and sorry, terrible Russian accent.
Yes.
But Deadpool's like, "McAvoy or Stewart? I just can't keep track nowadays."
Yeah.
Which I missed a little bit. And Dan was like, he said McAvoy. So I was like, oh.
Very funny. And on that bridge too, he's like, "I don't have time for your X-Men bullshit, Colossus," and like all this stuff. And then he's like, "You can't kill people like that." And then he's like, "I didn't kill anybody." And then
Which is seen in the trailer.
Yeah, and the body falls, and he's like, "That guy was up there before I got here." So there's a lot of like quick, kind of funny lines that if you're sitting next to somebody that laughs really hard, Patrick, then sometimes you miss that lines or whatever. But
if you guys missed that, Dan called out Patrick.
Yes, Patrick gets a little excited. When he laughs. He's like, "Ha ha ha," like real loud, and then you like kind of miss the next couple of lines. So
and the nice thing too was normally for comedies.
"You're my friend Patrick, I still like you." Okay, just gonna make sure that's clear.
Normally for comedies in the trailers, they'll normally say too many jokes and kind of ruin the funny ones, which was kind of this case, but not really. There were all the X-Men references and breaking the fourth wall really wasn't shown in the trailer. So that was really, really nice. My favorite one from the trailer, which I still laughed at in the theater, I'm pretty sure I was the only one who was laughing out loud in the theater, was when the Negasonic Teenage Warhead ran into Angel, which I don't remember her.
Angel Dust.
And Deadpool goes, "Oh, I so pity the dude who pressures her into prom sex." I think it's still one of the best jokes of the movie.
I think they took out part of that line because he's like, "Oh, you are way too much dude for me. That's why I brought him." And then like he's like, "I do not want to hit a lady," and she like flips him over or whatever. He's like, "I mean her," and he's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, finish your tweet."
Yeah,
yep. All the hashtags.
That sequence was really funny.
Yeah,
and it was in the trailer, so I think it still holds up in the movie, which is really nice.
And what's cool about the movie, along with Hail Caesar, is it's part of the new wave of movies being edited on Premiere Pro, which is what we use here at Stevenson, and I'm getting very familiar with and whatnot. So for many years it was Avid, like as far as digital editing goes. It was this Avid program, and no other like program could compare, and blah blah blah. And now Premiere seems to be becoming the like industry norm, which is really cool that we're learning that here and know how to do that and stuff like that. So our short films are being edited the same way professional features are.
Basically, our films are as good quality as features. That's pretty much what we're trying to happen.
Which we have our movie coming out. We're going to do another shameless plug right here. We have our video short coming out.
Yeah, we have a short coming out, which will probably. I don't think we should put it up until after the festival, to be honest with you.
Okay, I might drop the poster this week.
Which is fine.
Maybe tomorrow.
But my cousin Matt, Matt, thank you so much, was gracious enough to create a music score for us for our video. Our video does not have any dialogue, and Matt created the score that the first time Dan and I heard it, were completely blown away.
Yes.
It fit perfectly with everything that we wanted to do and wanted to have happen.
Yeah, we gave him such little like guidelines as far as like what we wanted. We were just like think like Criminal Minds or like Law and Order.
It was really basic stuff, and he just went with it and did a phenomenal job. So again, Matt, thank you. I know you don't listen to this, but thank
all
you
of the
anyway.
software too, which is really cool that he could get it.
It wasn't a studio. It was all with sample tracks, and everything was already pre-made, which is really cool. So we're really excited for this.
We will definitely be using him again if he will allow us.
If he'll allow us. Dan wants to use him again. I like to spread my questions.
I'm a big supporter of when you find like a team that works to kind of keep using the team, because you get to like learn what each other likes and stuff like that. So like as far as using the same DP or director of photography or producer or whatever it is, or even actors, you get to learn what each other likes and stuff. The only problem I have with that though is in the case of like, let's bring it back to David O. Russell. Since he likes to do that so much, he'll always like go right to Jennifer Lawrence, right to Bradley Cooper, whatever, right? And sometimes it's like, all right, are they really the best person for the role, or are you just doing it because you're friends?
Right.
Like for example with Joy, that movie, just a real quick, was about the Swiffer, or not the Swiffer Mop, the Miracle Mop, Wonder Mop, one of those two, and Joy, who made it, and on the Home Shopping Network, blah, blah, blah. Well, Jennifer Lawrence, of course, she's always good in what she does, but I do think someone else could have played it and done it just as good, or not better. But I feel like David O. Russell made it specifically so that she could do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so again, are they best for the role? And it kind of goes into Marvel or even superhero movies in general, where are they just going for the big name, or is it because you truly believe that this person is the best person for the role?
I think with Marvel so far, they're doing an excellent job. I think the biggest strength in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now is who they're casting for their roles.
Right.
Nobody disagrees that Robert Downey Jr. was the right choice for Iron Man, or that Chris Evans was the right choice for Captain America. Even right now, is Ryan Reynolds the perfect choice for Deadpool? Absolutely. Nobody else could play it.
Right.
That's one of the things. Again, it's 20th Century Fox.
Still part of Marvel.
It's still part of Marvel. So they're doing a really, really great job of that. DC, we still get to see. We've seen that so far. Looks fantastic.
Which it's since we're on the subject of DC, we'll just talk about real quick the final trailer for Batman vs Superman that came out. We're jumping around a little bit here, but
yeah,
a little bit more Batman heavy. Which I've been listening to a lot of stuff, and I think
a lot of stuff
like Hit Fix.
There you go.
And different things like that. And they basically think that what their marketing program is going to be now for the rest of the time that we're waiting is going to be centered on Batman, because obviously we already know Man of Steel, we already know Superman in this world is Henry Cavill. So it's going to be now we have to keep showing like, well, all you guys like Batman's like, we have Batman in this movie, like look how cool he is, and how comic booky it is and all that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of these trailers, little TV spots, all that stuff are going to be a little bit more Batman centric than say Superman or whoever else, or even maybe even a little more Wonder Woman too.
Which we see a little bit more in this trailer.
Yeah.
Well, a little more in action, which looks awesome.
The best part of the trailer, though, for me, was probably the first 45 seconds.
With the Batman fight sequence?
Yeah, where you see the Batwing. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it first.
I think we've shared it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, so it opens with the Batwing, and you're thinking, obviously, Batman's flying it, but then it turns out that it's Alfred flying it, or like he like takes over control at one point, and he's like, okay, I got 24 hostiles on, or what do you say, 24 hostiles on the third floor. He's like, how about I drop you off on the second, or vice versa, whatever it is, right? And he goes smashing through the window, and then somebody said, oh, it looks like Zack Snyder definitely played the Arkham games, because when you watch like this fighting style, it's very much like the games.
Yeah.
So he drops the net down, he grabs somebody, and then he just jumps in and he goes for it. And what was really cool about it is how much he can move in that suit. He's like all over the place, his body, his limbs, all that stuff. Coolest move though was when there's that crate and he jumps over the crate, kind of slides, grabs that guy, and then knocks him into the thing. And it's like two shots, but kind of looks seamless, whatever. I was like, that is so cool. I was watching a GIF of it, and I just watched it over and over again. I think that's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, and then of course the next scene, it's Batman or Bruce Wayne going, yeah, I'm getting slower in my old age. And it's like, if that's slow, I would be curious to know what you were like in like your prime, because that was crazy. That's
a Batman thing, though, is just to be so humble with his fighting styles.
Right.
Everything else he's super arrogant about, but when it comes to his fighting style, he's just like, yeah, I'm all right. I could probably be faster.
But then he's like, yeah, but I know how to defeat all the Justice League. Oh, and I'm also like the world's greatest detective, and I'm also like the world's like this technology guy, whatever. But my fighting style, yeah, it's okay.
He's not even the tech guy. Haven't you seen those comparisons between Iron Man and Batman?
I'm sorry, as far as the DC world goes, he's the tech guy. Kind of.
Still disagree.
He's the gadget guy.
He has gadgets, but he's not the tech guy. He doesn't build anything.
Oh, well, wait.
Lucius
Funny
Fox,
story
the tech
real
guy.
quick. Our friend Will asked me when we were watching the Batman Superman trailer, he goes, oh, is this the one that Spider-Man's in?
He was joking. He was dead serious. Will, come on, man.
He's like, oh, wait, that's Civil War. Oh, I got that mixed up. So he's trying to like backtrack. And so I was like, can't live that down. It's too late.
Where are the pictures of Spider-Man?
Wow, I was thinking the same thing. That's so weird. I was going to make a Jonason reference. Anyway, so then, the trailer becomes very just kind of flashy kind of stuff, you know, just to get us pumped about it.
It's more of a come see us because this is what we got type trailer. The past trailers have been like, so this is what we're about, and then this final one is like, this is why you definitely need to come see it.
Right, and more on that from like HitFix and stuff like that. They were basically saying that the reviews for this movie are very mixed. Saying, of course, Batman's great, Lex Luthor's great, like as far as the acting goes and all that stuff, but that the movie itself isn't that strong, which makes a lot of people think that they're gonna have to rework their DC lineup because they may have gone a little too much out of the gate too quickly, right? Oh, we're going to do this movie in this year, and we're going to do this movie, and it's going to connect, and blah, 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 blah. And so it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, maybe you should take it like 2 movies at a time, because at first, with Marvel, well, first off, Marvel has Kevin Feige, who is like the godfather of the Marvel, like make sure everything's connected. But when they were doing Iron Man, they weren't thinking 3 phases ahead, like it seems like DC's doing. They're thinking, all right, we're going to do Iron Man, and then we'll do Iron Man 2, and it'll connect with Hulk, right? And then we'll be like, oh, now we'll do... What was after Iron Man? Thor or Captain America, whatever was next.
I think it was Thor and then it was Captain America.
Right. So they're like doing it a couple of movies at a time. Not a huge, like now, of course, now they got like their shit together. So now they're planning bigger. But when you're starting out, you can't be like too big, you know, too big for your bridges or whatever. Bridges. Yeah, I always mix that up. Bridges.
Bridges are...
things you go over.
Yeah, things you go over across bodies of water or gaps in land.
What's a bridge then?
A britch? It's your pants. Britches. It's your pants.
Never heard as a pants. It's
your pants.
I've heard many other names for it. But anyway, so yeah, they're
underwear. I think it might be underwear.
Well, what's the expression?
Too big for your britches. I think it's your
too
underwear.
big for your pants. Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, like don't think your penis is bigger than it actually is. That's probably actually what it means.
So you think a britch is a penis?
No, like don't get too big for your britches, which is your underwear.
Don't be cocky.
Yeah, cocky.
Okay.
Emphasis on the cock.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Cock.
You're welcome. Everyone learned something today.
That we're just making up.
We're just making it up as we go. That's what we always do. It's how I live my life.
Make it till you make it.
Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Today's February 14, 2016, the end of the world, according to Ghostbusters.
Oh, it was Ghostbusters. I thought it was Groundhog's Day.
Nope, Ghostbusters. Why would Groundhog's Day talk about Valentine's Day if it's about Groundhog's Day?
Why would Ghostbusters talk about Valentine's Day if it's about busting ghosts?
Because it was part of Bill Murray's psychic talk show where the woman's like, I've predicted the end of the world.
Is that the second one?
It's the first one. No, it is the second one.
Yeah, because I didn't remember that in the first one. I've only seen the first one once.
It is the second one.
The not so good one.
It's okay. It's not as good as the first one, but it's not terrible.
Right.
I'm actually kind of excited for the new one.
Yeah, it should be interesting because
the cast is fantastic.
The director Paul Feig. Feig. Yeah. Feig. He's great. He did Spy and all that. I like that a lot.
He did Spy. He's one of the first things he also did was Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
He was the creator of that.
With Judd Nelson. Judd Apatow. Not Nelson. No.
Who are you talking about, man?
I don't know.
Who are you talking about?
Where am I? I don't even know what's going on.
What is this?
To me, I'm still driving. Right, so DC might be in a little bit of trouble as far as their future, which could set them back again. Hopefully, they won't have to reboot again. That would be just terrible.
Oh, my goodness.
Somebody said that they think what will happen is the Justice League will get pushed back, and that the first, like where the Justice League Part 1 would have went, they'll put the Batman movie which they're like kind of courting Ben Affleck to also direct, and I think he really wants to, and I hope he does. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but
No, Argo was great.
I think his directing style is his stronger suit more than his acting, which of course now we're seeing his acting can hold up with being Batman.
I mean, I think his acting is fine too. Again, everybody that has trouble with Ben Affleck in a movie is all about the writing, such as Daredevil. It's all about the writing.
Right.
You can't blame Ryan Reynolds for the crappy Green Lantern movie. You blame the writers.
Which I heard that he also had like a lot of problems with the director and stuff, Ryan Reynolds and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure because Ryan Reynolds, he's a confident guy and he's a knowledgeable guy, and he's one of those guys that knows what's good. Right. And like a Mike Myers or like me when it comes to editing. So
very much so, yes.
So I think it's just one of those things where it was just disagreeing philosophies on how the movie should be run. But with Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds definitely had major contributions to the movie and the character.
Yeah, him and T.J. Miller. T.J. Miller? No.
Yep.
Yeah, T.J. Miller, right? Okay. They worked well together and stuff like that. And actually, the guy's actually not older, but he's probably in his mid-50s.
Who's that?
T.J. Miller, the director.
No, T.J. Miller's not the director.
Who's the director then? It's Miller, something Miller.
T.J. Miller is the dude.
I could have sworn he's a T.J. too then.
T.J. Miller is the bartender, Weasel.
Oh, Tim Miller.
Tim Miller.
There we go. I knew it was Miller. Tim Miller is on a little bit older, and he was the video I was watching about using Premiere and stuff like that because he talked to Fincher about it, who did it for Gone Girl and whatever. We don't have to get into that stuff, but yeah, as far as DC, so I think they could be in trouble. Which I kind of had this feeling that Batman versus Superman is going to end up being really bloated and just crazy and stuff like that. But as long as Batman and Wonder Woman we like get behind, I think that's all that's going to matter.
Because Superman, we're kind of there.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
I mean, all of our issues with Superman with the Man of Steel movie, which everybody has come out who's worked on the movie has admitted that it wasn't the best it could be. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of playing catch up with Superman and also establishing that Batman and Wonder Woman can hold up on their own and do well in this new wave of DC heroes.
Right. Which Batman's probably not going to be a hard sell because, I mean, you talk to anybody and I don't think anybody hates Batman.
No.
I mean, he might not be their favorite, but he's
definitely not mine.
Especially, yeah, I know. Especially if you ask like any like average person, you're like, all right, name a superhero. No, normally, at least in the top 5, the first 5 they're going to name
probably three.
It's going to be Batman.
Yeah.
Probably Superman. Batman, Superman, and like Iron Man or something like that.
For kids, probably Iron Man.
Now Iron Man.
If you ask kids, it's probably Iron Man.
Our age and older, it'd probably be Batman, Superman,
Spider-Man. To be honest,
it's probably Spider-Man. Yeah, but yeah, now with the Marvel and stuff, it's probably Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with DC. Hopefully everything works out. And they were even thinking that Zack Snyder might lose his gig,
which is really shocking. When Dan told me that, I did not see that coming.
As much as I like Zack Snyder as a visionary director, I could see him being replaced and just becoming like a producer or like the Kevin Feige, because the tone is, as far as the DC universe sounds a little all over the place, because we were talking about it a little bit in the car, that their characters are a little more over the place, whereas Marvel's, they're a little more closer in tone and like telling jokes or, you know, being lighthearted or dark or whatever it is. Or they put their dark characters on TV, as we see with Daredevil and stuff like that. So with DC, they're trying to put someone like Wonder Woman and Superman, who are light characters, you know, symbols of justice and goodness and blah, 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 with Batman, who is real close to being a villain. Right.
And it's it works perfectly in the comics. Right. Every big comic book that has all these characters together, they're normally semi-lighthearted. They're more lighthearted than they are dark.
Yeah.
The only difference is obviously with Batman. With Batman, he just is dark. Not everything around the movie or the books are dark. It's just Batman.
Well, that's what I was going to say with the Justice League cartoon that we all like and stuff like that, and was very successful. What worked about it was because it was lighter, and when you brought Batman in, he was just the quiet, like mysterious, really didn't say much or whatever, but he did his job, and then like he had his dark time or whatever.
Which makes me think, with the pushing of the Batman advertisements and maybe the pushing up of the Batman movie, that they're going to do to Batman what Marvel's doing with Iron Man, which I do not want to happen.
As let him be like the backbone kind of?
Yeah, which, don't get me wrong, Robert Downey Jr. does a great job of Iron Man, and Iron Man movies are great, but I'm just so sick of Iron Man. I really am.
Iron Man is probably my least favorite Avenger.
Yeah.
Just because he's like, obviously, like we were saying before, casting wise, Robert Downey Jr. was perfect for it. You know, he does a great job. It's funny, it's entertaining. But like the Iron Man movies are probably my least favorite.
I think it's because, I mean, the first and second one were fine. The third one to me was okay, and
I thought the second one was okay too.
But you already know Iron Man. You know why his problems exist. You know how he got to where he is. You know everything about him. Why do you keep pushing him on us? Let's explore the Hulk, please. I keep talking about this all the time. Make a Hulk movie. Put Hulk more into the movies.
I think that's going to be a really possibility now with him being in Thor Ragnarok. I think we're going to see the end of Thor, like a death of Thor. And I think we're going to see Hulk end up getting put on some kind of planet that's
Planet Hulk, please.
It's going to be their version of Planet Hulk.
It better be the version of Planet Hulk.
Yeah, I think that's coming.
I'll tell you what. When we see Civil War, and if it's just as good as the comics, fine, do whatever you want with Hulk. If it's not as good as the comics, do with the comics with Hulk, please.
Well, we talked about it many times before. It's like you have this great source material. Why bother changing it? And I think it's because obviously these writers that adapt them want to have like their little touch on it and their little say. But it's kind of like
nobody cares.
Then bring in the screenwriter.
Nobody cares.
Bring in the comic writer if they're still around and have them adapt it.
Yeah.
Help and then have somebody like a smaller screenwriter come in and like help them, adapt.
I mean, with DC stuff right now, we saw during DC Week in the CW, Jeff Johns seems incredibly excited about everything that's happening right now, and I totally trust Jeff Johns. He writes pretty much all the major New 52.
I guess he would be kind of the Kevin Feige, but I guess he's not as important, or like he hasn't found his total.
Well, not yet.
They
haven't started yet. Right.
Yeah.
This new wave of DC movies haven't started yet, but it's pretty much Jeff Johns because he's like the comic guru right now when it comes to the DC comics.
Yeah, maybe it's not that they don't have a person like leading the ship. It's just that they have too big of a ship.
I honestly think it is because I mean with the Avengers, it was a process of even thinking of this. But with the Justice League, we know the Justice League. We've grown up with the Justice League cartoons. Was there an Avengers cartoon growing up?
Now there
probably.
Is. Right, but it wasn't as big.
It wasn't as big. The more popular one was the Justice League cartoon. We already know
DC is very popular with their cartoons.
All
very,
the time.
Very successful with their cartoons.
Every single cartoon, except for maybe Teen Titans Go, has been successful. Wildly successful.
Right.
Which, by the way, watch Young Justice on Netflix. Plug.
Yeah, I think that's why people, going back to like, all right, name a superhero or whatever, I think that's why people recognize Batman and Superman more, is because they're a lot more out there. And again, now this generation of knowing Iron Man and stuff are going to say them, are going to say Marvel characters in general.
Right.
But I think our generation will always know DC because I remember being like the WB11.
Yep.
For us, it was WB11. I don't know if it was still
Mine
11
was 17.
Okay, right, but the Saturday morning, like Justice League, Superman, animated series, Batman, all that
Static
stuff.
Shock.
Static Shock.
Great
Batman
stuff.
Beyond, all that stuff was all like around. It was very popular to us. And like
The only other one was maybe a Spider-Man cartoon from Marvel.
Spider-Man was fun. I like that cartoon.
There was a TMNT cartoon which did well, kind of.
TMNT though, it's like his own.
It's different.
thing,
And there was an Iron Man cartoon which I just saw in Epic Comic Cast. They were doing like the best intros to all the different cartoons, which I think number one for them might have been Pokemon. Which I mean, how do you not choose Pokemon as number one intro theme?
I would choose animated series, but I'm biased, so
Yeah, totally.
I'm not into Pokemon though, so again, I'm biased.
It's okay. You're just going to hell. That's all.
Whatever, it's fine. I was never into like card games and like that kind of.
I don't care about. I mean, I was into collecting the cards. I didn't necessarily play the card games, but I lived off those video games. That was one of the best ways to communicate with the youth of your class.
I wasn't. Okay, we just had a
Sorry
weird
about that.
outburst of laughter. I was never like I'm still not a big video game guy. I mean, you know me, like I played one day of Arkham Knight. And I was like sucking on the
so bad at Arkham Knight.
And I was just like, forget it, I'm not ever playing this again. And like I just had you tell me the story. So I'm not a big video game person. I still have Lego Batman 3 that I haven't finished. I've got like 3 levels in. And I played a little bit over Christmas break, but barely. And I don't know, I don't play video games. I was always into movies and shows like that, which I actually got asked by the dean of the School of Design on Saturday, like, what got you into movies? And it kind of like caught me off guard because I was kind of like, I don't know, like I was like, my dad watched a lot of movies. Like that was like our thing, how we bond, whatever. And we still do. but like it wasn't like my mom was into movies or like my dad would, like, as far as like making them or whatever. So I just felt right to me, or whatever. So I don't know, but
Anyway,
Pokemon just never felt right to me, I guess. That's what I was getting at.
okay. So we just heard Dan's life story there.
You're welcome.
But yeah, with all the DC stuff, and I think it all just depends on, again, what they're doing with it and how they're presenting it to us, because they do have so much source material to use, and they've already done so much source material in the animation section that for the live action section, I think that they're struggling still on how to present it. No matter what they have organized and what they have planned out, it's still going to be a struggle because they know what they have to live up to.
That's because I think their problem is they're not doing a whole lot of origins, or they're doing origins kind of late in the game, where they're just like, poof, you're in this DC world and here's everybody at the same time. Instead of where Marvel did it, where it's like, okay, here's Iron Man, and then here's,
Which
Iron Man again.
I understand why DC wants to do it, because they're trying to be original. Because if they do go the same route as Marvel, they're going to get a ton of crap for it. Ton of crap for it. So I totally get that. But even before a Man of Steel movie, I would have loved to see just Justice League. Straight up. Before Man of Steel. Because Man of Steel was an Origins movie. Total Origins movie. Then you got this Batman vs. Superman that's coming up.
Which, it's not a sequel. It's not an origin story, really.
It's more of a sequel than anything to Man of Steel.
That's the closest it is. But like, even that, they've said, like, oh, this isn't a direct sequel to Man of Steel. It's really just like a bridging movie.
It's a bridging movie to jump into the characters of Batman and Wonder Woman and Lex Luthor and all these characters.
Yeah.
So it's a bridging to jump in. And it'd be nice if they continued this jumping cycle, to be honest with you. If they could use the comics as more of a team-up thing. So like the next thing is maybe Superman has to take a leave from Metropolis and goes to Central City where the Flash is at. You know what I mean? Maybe Batman's detecting some illegal submarine missiles that he has to go underground for and runs into Aquaman. Obviously, it's not going to happen. But if they're using this bridge technique, and if it does work well, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. And I don't know if I would have wanted Justice League first. I would have done origin movies, but do them like at the same time. Don't have it be focused on one person, right? Don't be, all right, we're just going to focus on Batman. So in 2013, they should have said, okay, they should have had their Batman picked then, right? So you have Man of Steel and you have new Batman. Let's call it The Batman, right? Both of those movies come out. Then you have bonus scenes at the end of those movies that link them together.
For the Batman vs. Superman.
Maybe. But then, bam, they're linked, right? Now those characters are in the same world. Next year, you bring in Wonder Woman has her solo movie. You have Flash has his solo movie. They connect at the end, and then you connect them to now these four. So now 4 characters are linked together, and then you just kind of keep building it that way. And then after you get 6 or 7 characters, you go, okay, bam, Justice League. And then so you're doing 2 movies a year, but it's a little more connective that way.
Honestly, it can kind of be similar to what they did with JLA, which is they just send out letters to each other. So like maybe Batman and Superman kind of have
pen pals.
Not, I wouldn't say pen pals, but like a mutual respect for each other of their work, and they meet maybe at the end of the movies, and then for the end of the Wonder Woman movie, for Diana, she gets a letter from someone and it's hey, we like your work, join us. Same with Barry Allen, maybe at CSI for Central City CCPD.
It almost could be kind of like Deadpool, how they deal with the X-Men. Like the X-Men are there, they're present in his movie, but they're not in the movie other than Colossus and Warhead. I'm not going to say the whole name again, but Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic.
Yeah. So like they're there, they're present, that you believe that they're in this world, right? But you don't have to show them every single movie. So yeah, those letters at the end, it can.
But I mean, they're also kind of doing that with the visualization that we're going to see images of Aquaman and Flash.
Yeah, I mean, you could have it be not S.H.I.E.L.D. or not even an equivalent, like not an Argus or something like that, but just have somebody that's kind of like a Justice League recruiter, so that at the end of every movie, you have your Nick Fury of DC.
Yeah, kind of in a way, not so much of a showy way, but what Professor X and Magneto did in First Class.
Right. Assemble the team. Like, all right, we need people that we should have like on the ready.
But is that not similar to Avengers? Too, if you think about it?
No, because it's doing it over a few movies instead of one movie. Like, yeah, Coulson died for this reason. Like, we need to come together. It's it's more just kind of like we want to have this team in case some shit goes down, and they're maybe Batman's like, no, I'm not doing that, like
which is honestly similar to how the Justice League cartoon is. Where it's just these superheroes who know of each other's existence, maybe not like each other because Superman and Batman hate each other in the first episode.
Yeah.
But, Green Lantern gets involved, Wonder Woman gets involved, Flash gets involved.
Because there's a greater problem that they can't solve by themselves.
So they need to come together and they get the Watchtower and yada, 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 all the good stuff.
Right. And then Batman, again, can be just like that temporary member or like, what does he call it? Part-time member.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, I'm not official, but it's like, if you need me, I'll, let me know kind of thing.
Which it honestly is fine because that gives Batman, the character of Batman, to do his own thing more. Because everything that he does won't totally be related to Justice League matters. It might be unintentionally, but for like a Superman movie, like a Wonder Woman movie, they would have to be focused around like the greater problem of the Justice League until they needed to come together again in order to take on the greater problem, Darkseid, Vandal Savage, whatever it is.
Yeah, and then Batman is the one that you can make this dark tone that you're going with Batman versus
just
Superman.
Batman. It's fine to make it just Batman. It really is.
Or make it look like how Suicide Squad looks like that. It doesn't look overly like desaturated or all that stuff, but you feel it's dark, right? I think that tone so far that I'm seeing in that movie, I mean, yeah, it's a little more on the humor, but
I wouldn't. Suicide Squad isn't dark. It's just fucked up.
Okay.
It isn't totally dark, sad, depressing, like edgy. It's just fucked up.
So maybe a hybrid of the two. I just think that I used to really be into like the low saturation, like high contrast look, and now I'm kind of like in small doses if it fits, and I don't think it fits this Batman versus Superman, or even especially Man of Steel. Man of Steel should have been really bright, like high colors and like he's a Boy Scout.
I think so too, but because they're trying to bring Batman's persona into this universe, then it was appropriate.
Well, like think about Daniel Craig's Bond movies, right?
Okay.
Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace went together, right? I mean, technically they're all linked together, but they were fairly light, like just look like a regular like Bourne movie or action movie, right? Skyfall comes in, and that one's much darker, grittier, blah blah blah, and yeah, it's like image-wise, it doesn't look they don't look like the first two. Same with Spectre, it doesn't look like the first one. Like it's very like cinematically nice looking and appealing. The first two just look like action movies, but you feel like they're seamless stories, right? And that's kind of what they're doing with the DC universe, but they're not doing it from movie to movie in the sense for like Superman.
Right.
So Superman, again, bright colors, nice looking, more
yeah,
like.
But do you think the guy in the nice bright colored suit would have snapped the neck?
That would have made it that much more out of the blue. That like if it's all this bright, like hi, I'm Superman, blah blah blah, and then he cracks the neck, you would have been like, oh shit, like this is even that much more crazier that he broke this guy's neck. But when it's the whole movie's dreary and like all this kind of stuff, it was kind of like that makes sense that he would do that.
Well, I mean, the character of Clark Kent and Superman, he's still a positive guy. He's still an upbeat kind of guy, good morals, all this stuff. But I think with the movie and what DC is known for is creating more realism to the movies. How freaking messed up is it that this dude's entire planet died, and the people and the people who basically killed his parents are coming to Earth to claim his new home, which he has built a relationship with all these people. You know what I mean? I think for the tone itself, it's really messed up idea, right? It's really, really messed up. Again, Superman, same mentality of, Boy Scout, do the right thing, but for the world they're creating, I still think it fits. And when having a bright colored suit and him snapping his neck, I don't think it'd be like, oh my gosh, wow. It'd be like, what the hell? Why did he do that? What's going on? That's not Superman.
Well, excuse me, I don't think that's a bad reaction either, because it's not Superman, but you have to understand that like this was like basically his first gig as Superman, right? So he now moving forward, it might be kind of how Green Arrow deals with not killing people unless it's totally necessary.
So maybe then in that case, the suit starts to become brighter. He's
moving forward,
he's had this traumatic experience where he's had to kill somebody, which he doesn't want to do anymore. So with that, he decides, you know what, I'm going to be more of a lighter tone. Instead of killing, I'm just going to beat the crap out of you.
But it shouldn't be just like all of a sudden, like, you see his suit like fade into color, like
I'm
that.
not saying that.
But like maybe just, I guess the movies overall will start to get lighter and lighter. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Batman vs Superman versus Man of Steel, like their color palettes, it's getting a little brighter in Batman vs Superman, like the second one, a little bit, but it's still that very like stylized look
Right.
of the film, and that's what I'm totally not sold on. I like the way that they're doing Suicide Squad, and also Wonder Woman. What little footage we saw of that, that looked really nice. Like that looked dark or whatever they were going to go for, or whatever. Like if it looked fitting and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think DC might be just a little too all over. I was really gun ho about it, and I still am. I still want to see all these cool characters.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But I think they just need to rework it a little bit. Just kind of sit down and be like, okay, maybe we'll knock off these back few, like the ones that are in 2020,
right?
You know, or Shazam. Like as cool as it would be to see Black Adam, The Rock as Black Adam, is Shazam the most important character right now to do? No. So like I feel like let's do a Batman solo movie. Let's do Justice League Part 1. Let's get our act together first, and then we'll start branching out and doing these fun characters.
Honestly, I'm totally content with just seeing Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and maybe one Green Lantern. I know they're doing a Green Lantern Corps movie, and I cannot be more excited about that. But I do agree that you're just trying to bring everything all at once. And I think having Green Lantern there, maybe if one, whether it's Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart or whoever it is, I think is totally fine. Even with Cyborg, I'm okay with him coming in way later.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Cyborg.
I mean,
I can wait.
Cyborg as a Justice League member, I'm not crazy about it because I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with Cyborg as a Teen Titan, which is to me is way more exciting. Booyah! And even Shazam, who personally growing up I knew was Captain Marvel, but obviously copyright infringement and Marvel's just a bunch of bitches. The character's fun. Billy Batson's fun. It's fun seeing this huge godlike creature talk like a 12-year-old and act like a 12-year-old, but I think it'd be okay to add him on later.
Yeah, because I don't think the tone's there yet for him to come in.
No, and I honestly, if they have this Justice League movie and they have all these movies planned out of whatever's happening, it's kind of like what's going to happen with Marvel after Infinity War. What's going to happen next?
Yeah,
you have all these big heroes that are all lined up. You already have them. You've already established their characters, and there's really not that much more to go off of after Civil War with Bucky. I mean, there kind of is, but at the same time, it's just like
the next move for him would be to become Captain America,
which is exactly what's going to happen. But after Infinity War and defeating Thanos, who in my opinion is the most powerful being in the Marvel universe other than Galactus, who could be the potential one, you're going to bring in the B team to fight Galactus? Are you kidding me?
Right.
No, you're gonna want your A team. You're gonna want Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Hulk. So with Justice League, whatever villains they're using, and to continuing on, if they have all these heroes, where do you go from there? Are you gonna bring in like Justice League West Coast and all this ridiculous stuff? You're gonna bring in a Teen Titans movie, which again I'm fine about, but you gotta rework that. You gotta figure out what villains you're using. You gotta figure out what heroes you're using. So I guess it's not too bad to be pre-planned or over-planned, but you gotta make sure you're doing it right.
Well, like think about it this way: we know that Doomsday is in Batman vs Superman, right?
Correct.
If he's not in more than just Batman versus Superman, that's a huge waste of Doomsday.
Totally is.
Doomsday is a huge character. And then, I mean, next biggest one would be Darkseid. And I think they're already teasing Darkseid.
Which is ridiculous because he's like the villain.
He's the Thanos of Marvel.
Pretty much Thanos of Marvel.
And so, like, you're going to blow through two of the biggest DC villains in, like, 2 movies like that. Or 3 movies, let's say Justice League Part 1 and Part 2 and Batman vs Superman. That's huge.
Yeah.
Again, where do you go from there?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of them going is that they're bringing in different heroes. For instance, like a Blue Beetle.
Actually, I haven't heard much about that Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie.
Yeah, which I hope they're still talking about. But like Blue Beetle, for instance, in the Young Justice TV series, animated series that you guys should be watching on Netflix in season 2, it really focuses on this Blue Beetle idea of like Egyptian aliens and all this stuff. It's actually really fascinating. It's actually a really, really cool story arc. And maybe they do something with that. They have different heroes to go off of, but that you're just, as Kevin Smith would say, show us the cock and the balls of the DC universe and not have a contingency plan to go after that, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
You really are, because you've started off so high. You've raised the bar so high with your A-list heroes. Where do you go?
Right.
Like Adam's interesting. Yes. Plastic Man, Kinda, yeah. Blue Beetle is actually fascinating. Again, Teen Titans, but the Hawk people were doing that in Legends.
Right, and spoiler alert, we already killed off Hawkman.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, he's not obviously not that exciting.
Right.
Which I didn't find him that exciting on TV,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to find him exciting in the movie.
You're not going to use Green Arrow or actually.
They're already using Flash, so why couldn't they use Green Arrow?
So, wasn't the Arrow series only supposed to be on for 5 years?
Yes.
If it's only on for 5 years and they're done after 5 years, they could bring in a Green Arrow.
Yeah, well, and it won't be Stephen Amell.
It won't be Stephen Amell, unfortunately, but they can still have it. I mean, Green Lantern Corps movie, they can expand that. They can have the entire and Brightest Day and Blackest Night comic book series where all the different Lantern Corps exist. That could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's all a matter of perspective and what's next.
I also think that they shouldn't be afraid to get away from just, we're building up to team movies. Do go into, like...
stupid hero movies, like a Blue Beetle movie.
Well, not even that. I'm talking about, like you were saying with Brightest Night or Brightest Day, right? That's what, a couple of issues put together into one. That could be a couple of movies right there. There's Green Lantern movies, Green Lantern Corps Part 1, 2, 3.
Honestly, the entire Green Lantern New 52 series, starting with Rebirth and coming back from Parallax and Fear and Sinestro, that entire comic book series could be a series of movies.
Right.
It's honestly that visually appealing, where obviously you're looking at pictures, but you can also see it in a cinematic sense. It's fantastic. It's so wonderfully done by Jeff Johns.
Right. So there's at least three movies right there, right? You do Batman. How many stories does Batman have?
All
right?
of them. He has
Thousands.
all of the stories of Batman.
Right. So you could, because all of the Batman stuff we've seen before is all original material, or like they made it up. Christopher Nolan's and Tim Burton's, all that stuff. They made it up for the movies. It's not really based off anything. So base it off of something. Court of Owls, so cool.
Oh my God. Year One, fantastic.
Right. Do it like the prequel kind of stuff, or what other good stories? The Long Halloween, Killing Joke. Do a live action Killing Joke.
I mean, they're doing an animated one right now.
Right, but what's to say a couple of years from now, like they want to do Killing Joke? Batman stories go on and on and on with these great. Dark Knight Returns, right there is 2 movies.
Which, I mean, they're kind of doing that.
Kind of, but they could do it again.
They could do it again way later down the line.
Like when he's actually in his 50s.
Isn't he kind of already in his 50s now?
He's mid-40s. Like it's kind of like, I've been around a while, but I'm not like old.
So I mean, well, maybe what if that's a thing? So this first time, Batman feels like it's to take out Superman, and after this, they probably will obviously have a mutual respect for each other and work together. But maybe, there's the tease of the girl Robin from the Dark Knight Returns series, Kelly. Maybe something happens to her, which can trigger Batman's depression and kicks him out of the game for a while, and then comes back, and then they have the Dark Knight Returns.
Right, so you could get rid of Batman for a little while, a couple, like let's say 2-3 years, whatever. Like let it cool out.
Focus on maybe that's when you bring in Shazam. Maybe that's when you bring in all these new heroes to try for the Justice League.
Right, and then have not even be a B team, but just the new wave of Justice League.
Yeah,
and
which they've done.
It could
several
still be,
times,
and it could still be run by Superman.
That way, you bring in the Wally West Flash. That way, oh my God, kill off Barry Allen. Bring in Wally, or put Barry Allen through Flashpoint. Put him in the past. Right. Bring in Hal Jordan goes under, gets taken under Parallax. He's gone. Bring in Jonathan Stewart. Right. You have all these potential story arcs from comic books as well as the TV series. Bring them together. Bring them together. It's all there for you. We say this all the time. The material's right there in the comic book. Just put it in the movies.
Right. They have thousands of stories. You could go older. You can go like the new stories, New 52.
Oh my God! Bring in the Golden Age Justice League. Bring in the Golden Age. That'd be so cool as a movie.
I'd rather see it as the TV though. Like if they did it like you were saying with Justice season 2 of Legends, I think that'd be a lot cooler. But still, let's see live action somehow. Basically what we're trying to say is DC. Kind of look at your video or your movies. Yeah, you announced them, but what's the big deal? Say, you know what? I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think that's a smart move right now.
Are people going to be upset about it? Yeah, they will. But if you're going to come back with something way better and way more organized and way more powerful, we won't even care. Right. We're not going to care. We're going to jerk off to your movies right in the theater.
Right. I'd rather see much more interesting like the big 7 stories than like Cyborg by himself. What could he possibly do by himself? No. He's a supporting character.
Which another storyline they could do with Cyborg is that maybe he decides that the Justice League is too much for him and he starts forming the Teen Titans.
Right. That would be the only thing I could see him doing as his own like movie, which really wouldn't even be his own movie. But you wouldn't call it Teen Titans. Maybe like the next one could be the Teen Titans where they fight Slade or something like that. So look at your source material instead of just the characters. Look at the stories that they're in, and look at like that potential you have there.
Can you put in your own original twist to it? Sure, but you already have such great material with the fantastic animated series that hundreds of thousands of people have grown up with and loved and watched. Millions, as well as the millions of people who have read all your comic books. That's what they are going to love the most. They talk about bringing the comic book feel to it. I think one of Zack Snyder's quotes is like, "Oh, if you're a fan of the old Superman movies, then yeah, I definitely changed it. But if you're a fan of the comics, I didn't change anything." Is that true? In most aspects, yes. But for the stories themselves, it's there, guys. It's all there. It's all there.
The material's there.
So please listen to our podcast and listen to the knowledge we just dropped on you.
Right. And if you ever need us to come in and pitch some ideas,
yeah, you know, if you ever need some script supervising, you know,
picking stories for you, playing some of the superheroes.
my bachelor's degree is not that important. It really isn't.
No, especially if I'm guaranteed a job for the next 15 years. Yeah, or whatever. I'm good.
It's all Gucci.
Yeah. Gucci, and then by then I'll have all this money or whatever. I should be good. I can invest in my own projects or whatever. And
yeah, exactly. I'll probably just retire.
I'm not going to give up my phone number, but if you want it, contact us. Our email.
It's like geekcast2015@gmail.com.
Yep, and we'll be waiting for your email, DC Entertainment / Warner Brothers.
Yes. What time are we at right now?
We're at an hour and 10 minutes, believe it or not.
Wow. So I'll kind of apologize for the huge rant we just went on, but hopefully you guys found it entertaining, informational. Maybe you like it. If you don't like some of it, we'd actually love to hear your interpretations of what's going on. So if you want to comment on this episode on our Facebook page or YouTube, if you want to DM us or tweet us, go ahead and do that. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say as well.
If you can guess what TLOP stands for, you can win a prize.
There's no prize.
Just kidding. No, but also, if you really agree with us and think that we're smart and know what we're talking about, share this podcast so that more people see it and maybe it will get to DC.
Tell your friends, tell your local comic book shops. We it's all about growing, right?
Yeah, we'd love to do a panel. I'm going to speak for Greg when I say this. We'd love to do a question panel. I mean, I would say we're knowledgeable enough that we could hold the conversation. I wouldn't say, I'm not like, yes, I love Batman and I will till the day I die, but I'm not going to say I know everything about him. I've not read every story. I've not whatever, but I have enough of an understanding, and I get his character enough that I think I can speak knowledgeably about him.
I think Dan and I both, from just the small comic book readings that we have done, as well as the constant research that we do, watching all these CW shows and kind of understanding the basic backstory, seeing all the animated features and all the prior movies, that we do have a basic understanding. So again, if you want to ask us any questions or if you want to preach your own opinions, please do. We'd love to hear from, the hopefully multis of tens now that listen to us.
Yeah, well, it really all just depends on the topic. And I think I figured out why the Creed one was so big.
Which is?
Because the Chris Stapleton part, somehow it went to this website that like Chris Stapleton's music can be downloaded, and one of the options was the podcast for some reason. So I think that's how people just listen to it.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Whereas like Star Wars that you thought would be something bigger.
Everybody talks about Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. So, cool. I think that's all we got for here. Patrick, do you have anything? You were pretty quiet this episode.
Oh, nope. Good. All right.
Cool. All right. He'll like that one if he listens to it. He'll find that funny. I found it funny. That's why I said it. So, that's all we got this week. I'm Dan Whitehead.
I'm Greg St. Clair. Real quick shameless plug. Make sure you check out our friend Lethal Llama, our friend Ryan Chair, that does video game
commentaries.
Commentaries. That's the word. Make sure you check that out.
And as Ellen says, be kind to one another. And we'll be here next week. Same geek time, same geek channel. I know Patrick's supposed to say it, but again, very quiet this week.
Yeah.
So
speak up.
God, into the microphone, Patrick. Okay.